Thank you, everyone, for coming. I'd like to call this Thursday, June 13th, Livingston County Board meeting to order. We would like to call upon Pastor Richard Giovanetti for the invocation, please.
Welcome, everybody. Bright yellow shirt because it matches my wife's purse. Anybody who understands that problem, understands it well. No matter where you go, you're going to match me in one way or another. It's a great privilege always to be able to open in prayer before you. I would want to respect our great flag. I know we're going to pledge allegiance to it. And the tremendous freedoms we have to gather like this, that we would be civil today, recognizing there are countries that cannot do this. And the fact that you take your time and your energy out of your families to actually gather here and be able to govern on all the little issues and the big issues, all the things that come before you. So the fact that we can pray before this is another great freedom that we still have in America. We want to use it, and we want to bless you, and I want to pray for you and speak life over you so we can maintain this freedom and respect the honor of the flag that we serve under. So, Father, in the powerful name of Jesus, I thank you for this meeting. I thank you for the freedom that you've given them and all of us, able to gather and debate the issues. I thank you for every one of these who've taken time out of their family and their life and their business to be willing to be a part of the governing process, be able to deal with the debates and issues. And Father, I thank you for great wisdom in this room and the civility of all the people. They would constantly respect and honor what they've been given in this great nation under this flag and under God in which we trust. So Father, I speak such blessing over their families, over their homes, over their loved ones, that Father, together they would work and see this county become everything that they know they have the freedoms to do. And we give you the praise for it all in Jesus' excellent name. And everybody said, amen.
Amen.
And amen. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Giovanetti. Now we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Steve Lovell.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now we'll do roll call, please. Christy?
Arbogast.
Here.
Weller. Here. Ambrose. Here. Carly.
Present.
Lovell.
Here.
Fitstum. Here. Mays. Aaron. Runyon.
Here.
Blackard.
Here.
Wilkie. Here. Kirkton.
Here.
Killian. Here. Bunning.
Present.
Slagle.
Here.
Vietti. Here. Steichen. Schaefer.
Here.
Kestner.
Here.
Ritter.
Present.
Bannon.
Here.
Young. Allen.
Here. Okay, thank you. Before the approval of agenda, I would like to add executive session pending litigation and request to speak, John Reese, Democrat Committee Chair, under F. So with that, is there a motion to approve the agenda? Okay, Steve? Dr. Carly? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, now we have a request to address the board, former board member Mike Ingalls. Mike?
Excuse me. As you're aware, I submitted my resignation from the county board effective June 1st. While it was a resignation, I really considered it a retirement. 10 years ago, Chairman Bill Fairfield approached me about filling the unexpired term created by the death of Frank Denninger. I initially declined as I felt that after 26 years, 10 as an alderman, 16 as a mayor, I wanted to spend more time with family, especially 2 young grandchildren. When Bill came back without a person to appoint, we agreed that I would take the appointment until the next election and would help find a viable candidate. As the old saying goes, the rest is history. It's no secret that I was committed to not run in the upcoming election since the grandchildren count is now 4, and I am no longer willing to sacrifice time with them and their numerous activities. Plus, Dee and I just observed our 50th wedding anniversary, and we'll be celebrating with our 2 sons, daughter-in-laws, and those 4 spatial kids at a resort at the same time you will meet in July. Now, due to the recent resignation of Carolyn Gerwin, 2 candidates acceptable to the chairman were considered for appointment. After Marty Fannin was appointed, I realized this was an ideal time to step down and allow the other candidate, Jenna Manker, to be appointed. I'm pleased that is next on the agenda and am confident Gina will be an asset to the board. Reflecting on 36 years as an elected official, I realize a lot of positive things have happened. Not because of me personally, but because many good people have come together to make progress in the city of Pontiac and Livingston County. I consider myself fortunate to be a small part of those things. As to the future of Livingston County, I have many thoughts. I want to share 2 quickly with you. I think it's in the best interest of the county's budgeting process in years to come that you continue to reduce the dependency on landfill host revenues to supplement operations. After the completion of the new health department building, I feel it's imperative that you reduce this dependency and reserve this revenue for capital expenditures, aiming to reduce operation and maintenance costs for future years. We all know how hard it is to get businesses to invest in locating or existing business to expand in Livingston County. Starting a business or expanding one in the state of Illinois is a real challenge. We have experienced a degree of success because of the county's investment and support of GLCED. I feel strongly this investment should continue, that even greater things are on the horizon. My thanks for you allowing me this time to address the board, and I wish you well in doing what is best for the citizens of Livingston County.
And thank you, Mike, for your service on the board as well. Okay, now we will call on John Reese.
Chairman, Livingston County Board. Hello, I'm John Reese from Fairbury. Thank you for your May 29th letter notifying us of a county board vacancy in District 1 Pontiac. And thank you also for allowing me to speak on the issue of appointing a successor. As earlier stated and presently written, the Illinois compiled statute 10 ILCS 525-11 neither prevents nor requires a county board replacement to be of the same political party as the resigning member. This determination is based on a single, continuous, standalone section of the statute, whereas the county based its interpretation on the patching together of 5 unrelated statute segments. Taking the county's methodology to its logical conclusion, we can combine 18 distinct portions of the statute to obtain the following statement, and I quote, "The county board shall party 3 days in the forest preserve. The appointee shall be otherwise unexpired. However, if more than 28 months remain in the term, the appointee must reside in the county home executive office of 3 million commissioners." We all realize how ludicrous this is. Life has taught us that the correct answer is usually the simplest and most straightforward answer. Likewise, history has shown the lack of county board diversity leads to its collective apathy. For example, the board members up for re-election in 2018 missed 20% of their scheduled meetings during the previous 3-year term. And in 2017, there was 90% agreement on all county board votes taken. Major decisions affecting the county should be taken seriously and with careful consideration. County board membership should not simply be a reward for party loyalty. If everyone agrees on everything all the time, then only one person is needed to make all the decisions. World events have shown us this is not a path to success. The summary removal of a committee chair, followed by his sudden resignation from the board, and the immediate appointment of a successor with no prior notification does not indicate a healthy, well-functioning democratic process. It borders on authoritarian conduct. Presently, 2 District 1 individuals receiving 0 votes in the previous general election will become county board members, while a candidate receiving over 1,500 votes is excluded. How ridiculous is this? We begin to wonder, why even have elections? If this is a representative democracy, then where is the representation? And what makes it a democracy? Dan Hobart's commitment to his community is inspiring. As a department head of the Pontiac Correctional Center, he manages multi-million-dollar budgets, monitors vital contracts, and serves on essential committees. He is a member of the Labor's International Union of North America 2002, is both the director and a coach on the Junior League football program, and has served as a volunteer fireman and EMT. In addition, Dan actually chose to run for county board. What makes Dan so unacceptable for a position on the board? It's not his race, religion, gender, or nationality. There are laws to prohibit such discrimination. It must be his principles, his values, and his sense of community. The closed system we presently have is inherently flawed. The county board needs fresh ideas and a sensible approach to overcoming the obstacles they encounter. Membership to those outside the group would transform the county board, would transfer a county board weakness into a strength. Circumventing the process for the sake of expediency and convenience is a growing concern. Once again, the county board will reject the opportunity to welcome 20% of the voting public a seat at the table. Regardless, hope springs eternal, and someday we will do better than this. Thank you for your time and consideration. John Reese, Chair of the Livingston County Democrats. For anyone interested, I have available copies of the single continuous section of ILCS 525-11 that neither prevents nor requires the county board replacement to be of the same political party as a resigning member. Also, I have an interpretation of ILCS 525-11 utilizing the 5 disconnected sections that the county used in their interpretation. And I also have an example using the unrelated sections of ILCS 525-11 to obtain an unreasonable ruling. And I have the 2015, 16, and 17 County Board meeting absentee status results for members up for re-election in 2018, and the 27 voting agreement results among all county board members. I didn't know if anybody wanted a copy or not. Should I leave them somewhere, or you'll take one?
John, could you just leave them with Lean and we can grab them on our way out if we'd like? That'll work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reese.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is the board appointment to fill District 1 vacancy with Gina Manker. I would just need a motion, please, and a second.
I will move it.
Jason? Bannon, second? That would be a roll call vote, please.
Arbogast.
Yes.
Willer. Ambrose.
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Fitstum.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Herring.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Blackard.
Yes.
Wilkie.
Yes.
Perkton.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Bunning.
Yes.
Flagel.
Yes.
Vietti.
Yes.
Dyson. Schaefer.
Yes.
Kestner.
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
Bannon,
Yes.
Young, Allen.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, Gina, if you could come forward, please. And Christie will swear you in.
If you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Gina Manker,
I, Gina Maker,
having been appointed
having been appointed
to fill an unexpired vacancy
to fill an unexpired vacancy
in the office of District 1
in the office of District 1
County Board Member
County Board Member
on June 13th, 2019,
on June 13th, 2019,
in and for the County of Livingston
in and for the County of Livingston
and State of Illinois,
and State of Illinois,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I support the Constitution
that I support the Constitution
of the United
of
States
the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of County Board Member
of County Board Member
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Welcome, Gina. Okay, now we have approval of the minutes. We have from April 11th and May 16th. I need a motion, Blackard and Ritter. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, now we're down to consent agenda with the approval of bills and appointments of Dean Willem with Long Point Fire Protection District, William Brewer, Pontiac Rural Fire Protection District, David Roth, Gridley Fire Protection District, and Sheriff Childress for the Vermilion Valley Regional Communications Authority. Who? Carly and Killian. Carly and Killian? Mm-hmm. And that's with roll call.
Arbogast,
Yes.
Weller. Yes. Ambrose.
Yes.
Carly,
Yes.
Lovell,
Yes.
Fitstum,
Yeah.
Mays,
Yes.
Herring,
Yes.
Runyon,
Yes.
Blackard,
Yes.
Wilkie,
Yes.
Kirkton,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Bunning,
Yes.
Flagel,
Yes.
Vieti. Yes. Schaefer,
Yes.
Manker,
Yes.
Kestner,
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
Bannon,
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Okay. Next, we move down to committee reports. Highway Committee, Mark Runyon will give the report.
Yes, thank you, Ms. German. We have a few things tonight. We have the letting results, a couple bridge petitions, and a agreement of understanding. We have our county engineer, Clay, with us tonight, so I'll let him give a brief description, and he can ask some questions. And Clay?
Good evening. First item on our agenda is the letting results from June 4th. We had 4 different contracts that we're awarding on that. 2 of them are AS sections, or aggregate sections, one being awarded to Conrad Trucking, the other one to Tailwind Enterprises, located in Broughton Township and Sunbury Township. Then we also have one to H.J. Epple, that's a railroad crossing approaches through an ICC Commerce Commission stipulated agreement. And then the last one is the Avoca Wego bridge that we're replacing on 1500 North on the township line. Toby's Construction has that bid. So that's for the letting results. Next item on the list is the bridge petition between Newtown and Sunbury for an estimated cost of $9,000 for a couple of pipes to be replaced. Third is another bridge petition in Newtown Road District to replace an existing small structure with 3 96-inch diameter pipes, estimated cost of $50,000 on that. And then the last on the list is the agreement of understanding for maintenance and construction. This agreement is between the county, myself, and the state of Illinois Basically, it takes away some of the oversight that IDOT is requiring to review our projects on, from general maintenance, motor fuel tax, and from some of the bridge projects like the one that we're awarding to Toby's Construction on here for Township Bridge Program. It basically is, IDOT has given us the blessing that our office is doing things sufficiently according to their rules, and so there's been enough time passed that they are now wanting to offer this agreement. It not only gives us a little, we can have projects ready faster and not have to have quite as much oversight with IDOT and sometimes a few months of delay that get us a project through to letting. So it is helpful to the department. So if the county board chooses to pass that, then we would be able to comply then with those standards according to the agreement. So that's what that is. Yes, sir.
I assume the committee went over this and they were all good with everything in the agreement?
It passed unanimous at committee level, yes.
Thanks.
Jason has a question.
I guess my question isn't more for the motion, but it is for, with this gas tax that was raised down there at Springfield, have you guys, as County Engineer Association, have you guys discussed on how much that's gonna come down to the local roads and what you're gonna be able to use, Clay? Hate to put you on the spot, but I got to thinking about that on the way here, that
Sure.
with, have you guys looked at the numbers yet or not?
The numbers aren't final yet, Jason. I don't want to say, I guess, based on what I'm hearing, because we don't know for sure exactly the breakdown. We have some percentages that have been given to us, but some of that is based on speculation of what the sales will be in the history. So at this time, I'd like to hold off on what that is estimated to be at the local level.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Clay? If not, I'd like to make a motion to approve A, B, C, and D. I think I can do that in one motion.
Lovell, second it. Lovell.
Lovell?
Yep, thank you.
All those in-
Roll
Arbogast?
call. Yeah, oh, yes.
Oops, I'm sorry, you called it. Arbogast?
Yes.
Weller? Yes. Ambrose?
Yes.
Carly?
Yes.
Lovell?
Yes.
Pittston?
Yes.
Mays?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Runyon?
Yes.
Blackard?
Yes.
Wilkie?
Yes.
Kirkton?
Yes.
Killian?
Yes.
Bunning?
Yes.
Slagle?
Yes.
Fieri?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Manker?
Yes.
Kestner?
Yeah.
Ritter?
Yes.
Bannon?
Yes.
And Allen?
Yes.
Okay, have one other thing, just for your information only. The committee was informed that we did take possession of our new used truck. We have purchased a truck from a county up north. I'm not sure if I should say the name of the county or not. It's Winnebago County. This is the third truck that we have purchased from Winnebago County. It's a slightly used truck, and I emphasize the word slightly. And like I said, it's our third truck we've got from them. The committee is extremely happy with it. From my understanding, Clay and his staff is happy with it. The arrangements we've reached with Winnebago, it seems like they're happy with it. This is a win-win for everybody. And we did take possession of our new truck this past week. And then along the same lines, we are now have one of our older trucks that we're selling, because we're not increasing our fleet, we're just replacing one of the older trucks. And that truck is gonna go up for auction, Clay, what date? June 25th, so if you know of anyone that's in the market for a dump truck with a plow, I believe, Livingston County does have one that's going up for sale. So you can get with Clay if anyone's interested, so with that.
Clay, is that the one that's sitting out front of the building?
So with that, that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Runyon. Now we're down to Agriculture and Zoning Committee, Mr. Bunting.
Thank you, Mrs. Chairwoman. Agriculture and Zoning Committee have no action items to bring before this board at this time, but I would like to publicly thank Clay Metcalf and the County Highway Department employees for helping the last couple times picking up the electronic recycling items that we have behind the high school. I think we've loaded truck number 3. There is a half a truck there yet to be loaded. We're trying to get the logistics done on that, but I wanted to publicly thank the employees of the county that helped and the volunteers that helped pick that up. We are extremely happy with the excitement that it shown on May 11th, and we're still dealing with the issue behind the schools. So, Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Bunting. I also would like to say thank you to the people who helped out during that time. You want to talk about really amazing effort, and it was much appreciated and a privilege to work alongside them. They came and they moved not only the electronics from one area to another, but then loaded 3 semis in the process of many days. A lot of work, a lot of hands, and I don't think I could even do justice with all the energy that was put into it. And so I'd like to say also thank you because it really, their efforts did show.
That's all we have, Mrs. Chairwoman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bunting. Next, we have Finance Committee, Mr. Schaefer.
Thank you, Chairman. Only order of business we have tonight is the resolution endorsing a GLCD EDC grant to Alloy Specialties of Blackstone. They make fine metal products. They're a decent-sized portion of their business is subcontracting for the now expanding Vector Manufacturing. And I'd like to motion that grant be approved.
Okay, Mr. Bunting, second. Any questions? Gerald? Yep. Oh, Mr. Bunting, seconded, okay. Any questions for Mr. Schaefer? If not, we'll roll call.
Arbogast.
Yes.
Weller.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Fitstum.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Herring.
Yes.
Runyon.
No.
Blackard.
Yes.
Wilkie.
No.
Kirkton.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Bunny.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Getty.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Manker.
Yes.
Kestner.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Bannon.
Yes.
And Allen.
Yes.
That's all,
That's all?
Chairman.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. Now we come down to Public Property Committee, Mr. Killian.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We met on June 3rd. We had a full committee there, and we had a young man from Smart Watt Energy Savings Systems, Ori Cummings. This had started months ago with Mr. Engel, whatever, and we looked at his 2 scenarios. We took scenario 1, and it was passed unanimously and to go to finance to see if it is feasible. The other thing, we had Director Don Verdon, facility manager's report, and they were very busy with spraying for spiders, unclogging water, roofs leaking, whatever, but they I think, hopefully kept everybody happy. 2 other things. The Regions building, we're looking at getting it started, I think, next week, roughly. Depends on the weather. It's really been kind of contentious, as we know, with farming and everything else. And last but not least is the bids for the Health and Education building will be able to be picked up at the end of this month, June, and then would be have to be turned back in. I think it's in July. And pardon me?
And submitted for approval in August by the board?
Yes. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Killian. Now we move down to Sheriff Jail and License Committee, which would be me, but I was absent last week, so I'm going to turn it to Mr. Weller. Okay, thank you, Mr. Weller. Down to Administrative Committee. Bob Young is not here tonight, and I was not here as well, so I was told business as usual, so no report. So we move down to Personnel Committee. Jack Bietti.
We had no meeting.
Mrs. Chairwoman,
Yes.
would you like to open the floor for discussion on the community health care program?
Sure, sorry. Any discussion, any remarks? Sorry. Nobody? Okay.
Kathy?
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Young received a request from Mrs. Lipinski to place this item on the agenda. She indicated that there were 8 board members who were in favor of reinstating the program. This is Mr. Young's, he's giving you the opportunity to speak and discuss this and let your will be known. That's what this is here for. If no one has anything to say, then that's okay, but.
Okay, so, Mr. Wilkie.
Yes, I thank you for letting us have a discussion on this home health care. I've always told my kids and friends that it's important to vote, but the county board has really proved me wrong on a couple of occasions. I think it is sad that the board makes no attempt to do what 9,949 residents asked it to do. Then 7,571 people voted yes for a tax levy. 9 board members voted to put it on the ballot and 12 voted against it. The Livingston County Public Health Board wrote a letter asking to be reinstated. There's been several people that have come before the board and asked for it. I think it's ridiculous that we can't reinstate this program that is very well needed among the Livingston County residents. Thank you.
Any other, Mr. Kestner?
I agree with what he said in most of his statement. However, I was one who voted to place it on the ballot to be a binding tax levy instead of just an advisory referendum. It is a good program. I've had family members who've, in other counties, been served and helped by home health services. And my wife is retired as a hospice nurse, so she's aware of all these programs. So the only thing that I disagreed with, I felt that we shouldn't continue to go to the enterprise fund to subsidize various programs. That should be just for, I think, capital projects. I'm not against this program being reinstated at all. I think it's a good program. As I suggested to Melinda Hillman, who has announced her retirement, are you going to put this in your budget request? And she had said yes. So at that point, at that time is when I'll make a decision on it. But number one, I would rather see its own tax levy. If we don't have that, then it's a matter of the board's will as to fund it each year in the budget. But I'm waiting to see what the new public health director will ask and any more suggestions about it. But I've my family's experienced their good help, prior to deaths in the family. So, I'm all for saying it's a good program. The question is, should it be funded by its own levy, or should it just be a year-to-year budget thing? So that's all I have to say.
Mike?
Yeah, just, I guess for the group and for Ron down there, Mr. Kestner, I've read this white paper that Alina Hartley put together, which I thought was extremely well done, and it kind of lays out 2 courses of action. But as I kind of read through this, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but there's not a lot that we can do right now for this program.
This year.
This year.
Mm-hmm.
And, when the voters voted to raise taxes or as an advisory that they would pay the tax, do we think we would get that same vote today that we got last year based on the current environment in the state of Illinois? Do we need to raise more taxes than what the state of Illinois is already doing to us? Increasing the motor fuel tax, income taxes are going up, property taxes are going up. Do we think that the voters would vote the same way again today that they did last November? And to go back to my first question, there's not a lot we can do right now. Am I wrong? I mean, I have aging parents, and this is an important program. I get that, but I just don't see that we can do a lot right now.
No, it's the end of June, and we'll be in a new budget year before you know it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and I was one of the 9 who voted to put it on the ballot, and I would do so again.
Okay. I'm done, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from anyone? John?
Thank you, Mrs. Chair, Chairwoman. Sorry. So I voted to put this, like, we had the question, should we put this on the ballot to increase the PTEL to fund this? I voted yes to do that, against the Democrat people here's wishes to do that. Had we voted yes for that, had they encouraged people to vote yes for that, it would have been on the ballot, it could have passed, and it would be in next year's budget. So you guys shot yourselves in the foot over this, and you come back to us yelling about it. The funding for this has to come from somewhere. Okay, we're spending more money than we bring in every year. So if we don't raise taxes to pay for this, we're gonna have to cut something else to pay for this. So we have a list of programs we can go through and cut, and we could maybe cut something, but if there's anything left to cut, we would have already cut it. You show me something we can cut, and I would like to just cut it. I don't want to replace it with this. So we need to cut until we have more income than we're spending. So if we start a new program, we need tax money to fund that program. We can't get it from existing places because we're spending more than we take in. And if you keep doing that, when the landfill goes empty, you're going to be out here with signs wanting it to expand the landfill, which is not good for anybody because you need more money. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any other questions, concerns? Okay. We will move on down to elections rules. That'll be in public comment. That'll be under public comment.
Mrs. Chairwoman, just to assist the Finance Committee too, going into the budget season, I guess it would be nice to know how many people would be in favor of representing the referendum to place the question on the ballot. If there's no interest in doing that, there's no sense in bringing it up, but we are going into the budget season, we need to know how to handle it.
Okay. Just show of hands?
That's fine. And we're just looking for a consensus or people to speak up and say, I've heard 2 people say they were interested. So if nobody else is interested, that's okay. It's just.
I mean, I'm okay for putting it on the ballot. Jim? Okay.
I'm okay with it, but I'm not raising taxes. If we can find money somewhere through finance, that's fine.
Right.
I will not vote for a tax increase on anything. Mr. Kirkton did a very nice job on telling about our state, on everything. If you get a paycheck, if you drive a vehicle, unless it's electric, but you're going to get charged for that too, you are going to be paying more money. Well, I don't care if it's on the ballot. I encourage that, but not taxes. No way.
Madam Chairperson,
Yes.
would it be okay if we were to have a show of hands at one time to identify whether we would like to see this? It's not okay? how are we supposed to
I feel the
give an
consensus of the board,
indication?
no.
Put it on the agenda. I would think you would put it on the agenda for that specific question.
Yeah, point of clarification, was this discussed at the admin? Is that why we're having this discussion now? I was not at admin last Thursday
Really
either.
only for discussion and it's to allow you to have the discussion and just to give us some guidance on how you would like to move forward. If there's not interest in moving forward, then there's nothing left to do. And when I said that I was looking to find out how you would like us to proceed during the budget process, again, I'm not advocating one way or another. I'm just trying to get a response from you.
What would be the next ballot that would be on?
It's in the
Would be next-
handout that I gave you, but it's March 17th. It's on St. Patrick's Day last year. The deadlines have not come out. But certainly, as we prepare the budget, if we do not put those things in the 2020 budget, even if it's approved in March, we will have the same difficulty, and it will be 2021 before it's implemented.
Okay, Mark?
So, I'm sorry.
Hold on, please, Mark.
Yeah, I think everyone knows where I stand on this, but just, if you're asking for everyone, I'll just say it again. I was the one vote when this project came up. I think it was actually for renewal, because I don't think I was on the board whenever it first came up, but then it came up for renewal after I was on the board. I was the one vote that voted against it. And I just don't think that, that government should be in this type of business. And I also voted against putting it on the ballot, and I would continue with that vote. I would not vote to put it on the ballot, because I just don't think this is something the government should be doing.
Okay. Mr. Ritter, did you have something else?
Yeah, I'm sort of confused now, and that's normally in life, but just even a little bit more. So are we to then give you our indication of whether we'd like to see it some other way for their understanding of which way to go? How are we going to answer the question that Alina has posed to find out which direction we're supposed to go?
And when you say move on, exactly what do you mean?
Okay, so should the board wish to reevaluate reinstating this program, there were the options that were laid out. From what I've heard from this, the only option would be tax, although some people think that there's too much tax already, and I would have to.
Agree.
I understand. However, we do have a deficit budget, so if this program were to be implemented, that is the path, that's the only guaranteed funding source that we have for the program. So if you wish to reinstate this program, or you wish to ask the voters if they want this program, then you should pass the resolution to place the item on the ballot for the March 17th election.
To speak to Mr. Killian's, what he said about not raising taxes, we wouldn't be raising taxes. We would be putting the question to the voters. So it wouldn't be us raising the tax, it would be us proposing the question to the voters, correct?
Correct, however, you should
We've already done
anticipate
that.
that there would be an increase in the taxes. I mean, the board will have to determine how much should be levied each year as they do with their budget already. But you would anticipate that there would be a tax increase.
Right.
Mr. Kirkton?
Madam Chairperson, a quick question. Did this, did this come out of committee? Did the committee vote that it should come to the board for discussion? Or was there any discussion within the administrative committee about the community health care program?
I
Would
wasn't.
you like me to respond?
Yes.
Okay, so, no. Mr. Chairman, Bob Young, did bring this to the committee. He let them know that he was inclined to oblige Mrs. Lipinski with her request so the discussion could be had. He did that based on the information that he was told that there were 8 members of this board who were in favor of reinstituting this program immediately. That's what he did. There was no recommendation coming out of the administrative committee, nor are we looking for necessarily any type of action from you tonight. We were looking for direction on whether or not we should re-forward the resolution for the tax referendum. However, unless more people need to speak up in favor of that resolution, it appears that there's a consensus that we should not represent that resolution. Am I correct?
Mr. Blackard?
I actually think that we should let the voters vote for one way or the other. They voted back in November that they were willing to, so let's give them the facts and let them vote.
Mrs. Ambrose?
I would agree with Mr. Runyon. I don't think we need any more social programs. There are a lot out there, and we just cannot fund this, and I'm also not interested in putting it on the ballot, because I think there are too many people who don't pay taxes that'll be voting yes on this.
Yes.
I voted to put it on the ballot because the people in an advisory referendum voted for it. So I was voting to do the will of the people. So that's where I stand. You either gotta put it in this year's budget request, and year by year do it, or have its own tax levy. That seems the only two questions to get the money. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Kestner. Mrs. Minker?
I know I'm new, but Alina, thank you for putting this, giving us these papers to look at. It was very informative. I had remembered some of it, but it was a good paper to see. I just wanted to say that my father did use this program in his last year or two of life, and it was invaluable to us because I have had no other family members around, and I had to work. And they came and helped him out a little bit, and what they could do, he had both the nursing side and the housekeeping side, and it was just great. He couldn't do anything for himself anymore, but yet he wanted to stay in his home as long as he could, and that's what we as a family had decided that we would do everything we could to see that happen. And they were wonderful, and they helped. We started out with a few hours a week and increased it later at little or no cost to my father. And I am all for this program, and if we were to do this again, put it on as a referendum, I'm in favor of the third scenario that you stated in your white paper.
Okay, thank you, Gina. Mr. Ritter?
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. So I am in favor of this type of program. I'd like to ask, is it possible for us as a county board to put together an ad hoc committee to come up with alternative ideas of funding this type of mechanism? We have some really brilliant people in our community and in the boundaries of Livingston County. And maybe what an idea could be is that if we put together a committee to explore ideas in alternative methods to paying for this other than taxes. And so I think that I'm pretty sure I saw a document with the signatures of a number of our health professionals and individuals of this community, and I'm not putting anybody on the spot. That's not my intention of making a statement. But I think that with the opportunity to have a bunch of professionals in our community who are looking outside the box to fund this mechanism without us approaching taxes, we might be able to achieve a goal collectively. And so I'm not sure if that's possible. I'm not even sure if we can do that, but that's my question. Is it a possibility we can explore that?
I'm not sure on that either.
I agree, but it's a good question.
It is a good question.
Do you mean like open up a bank account and people can donate to it?
Well, I'm not saying that maybe so, but I think we all understand the importance of having health care for our senior citizens and people of need in that category. We see that. There's nobody who doesn't. I think that there's got to be a way to look at this from a different angle, because if we always look at it from the same angle, it's always going to look like a duck. But if we change the angle a little bit and come up with an alternative method, I mean, isn't that the American way? we look at what we do in the United States. Hey, the idea is if we come at it from a different angle, maybe we could find a way to make everybody happy and get this thing done without it taxing our communities. I would like to rest on that thought. Thank you, Madam Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Ritter. Ms. Allen?
Paul, there is a state-funded home health care because my mom was on that before she passed away. And it wasn't through the county.
So if that's the case, then aren't all of these individuals then eligible for that? I can't answer that question.
Mr. Wilkie, did you have a question?
Yes. I gotta agree with Gina. I got a couple friends that use this program. And we're only talking, we're very lucky that Melinda gets a lot of grants and everything. The county is only funding 18% of the health care for Livingston County, which is great. And this raise is only 0.025%. So to raise the taxes to fund this year is what it needs. That's not a, and as long as the taxes, I disagree with everybody that says they don't want to pay taxes. If it's taxes that help the residents of Livingston County, I'm 100% for it, because those people need to stay in their homes. They can't go to nursing homes.
Mr. Killian, did you have a question or comment?
There's been ideas splashed around this committee for the last couple months. I brought it up last week. I mean, I think a GoFundMe page, you see somebody, there's been a young lady, don't shake your heads, it's all possible. $10 million for a young girl in California that had a shark bite, and the fund is still going. Them funds, easy to run, make money. I don't know what this project even cost, but we don't have it in the budget to do it. But a GoFundMe page or whatever, anybody can open up a bank account, you can do it, donate the money back to the county. We're wasting too much time on this tonight, in my opinion.
Mr. Kirkton?
The program, as we know it, before it was sunsetted, was administered by Brenda Hillman, is that correct?
Melinda Hillman, yes.
Or Melinda Hillman, I'm sorry. Melinda Hillman. Is she here tonight at the?
No.
She is not here.
Okay, I was just gonna ask her a couple questions. Sorry about that.
Okay. If there is no other questions,
One other quick question. Elena, I would think before we talk about show of hands or votes on any resolution to put anything on the ballot in March, we really need to have Melinda in attendance. So maybe the next meeting we could do that or something. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. All right, now we'll move on down to Elections, Rules, and Legislation Committee. Mr. Carley, please. Well, I already moved on. But you can do it in public comment.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. We had 4 appointments, and they were done in the consent agenda. We had a couple issues come up in the Elections Committee meeting. One of our concerns is we need a site in Owego Township for a polling place. We're working that out. I've been working with Christie a little bit on this, and we're talking about it, and we're going to see what happens. The state has to have something concrete here in the next few weeks. So at the moment, we don't have a polling place site yet in Owego County, but we've got some options. That's my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Carley. Down to Veterans Assistance Committee, Mr. Kestner.
Thank you. Committee met June 3rd in the committee room. It was well attended. We had one person didn't attend anyway. We had some guests, Mr. Bob Sanders and Mike Moffett and Mr. Worthington from down the Fairbury area. and they were there just to inform us that they had received donations from Elks National Office to them as veterans to put together a color guard and also help out other American Legion posts during funeral details. Sometimes they're a little short. It also would help them buy some newer uniforms so they'd all look the same, look sharp. And we didn't have to make any vote on it. They were just kindly informing us of that. The superintendent of the commission, the Veterans Office here informed us he was not going to ask in the new budget for any new vehicle. Although they're getting mileage in some of the vehicles, they're still being maintained well. And I guess that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kestner. Information and Technology Committee, Mrs. Allen.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I won't make any more comments about the electronic recycling because I'm sure you've heard enough about that. Mr. Sear stated that the department has completed the inventory update and corrected a lot of errors from the last couple of years. He also stated that Spellman conducted a training session at the Sheriff's Department and that this was open to other counties and municipalities as well, and that everybody seems to be having the same issues. He's currently enrolled in the NACO Cybersecurity Leadership Program, and he indicated that his intern for the summer is working out really well. And that completes my report.
Okay, thank you, Vicki. Livingston County Housing Authority, Mr. John Slagle.
We did not meet this month, so no report. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Board of Health, Joe Station is not here, so we'll move on to Mental Health Board, Mr. Vietti.
Thank you. Our next meeting is June 20th at 4 o'clock out at the Mental Health Office. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vietti. Now, before public comment, I would like to say that I'm going to limit each comment to 3 minutes, please. So now we are up to public comment.
The way the discussion was handled. But anyway, I'm Rod Patterson from Pontiac. There are misconceptions out there about this program. I brought it up before. It's not just a social program of giveaway. These are Livingston County residents that paid their taxes all their lives and now they need some help. And these are people that fall through the cracks. There are no other programs that can help these people. This is the only thing. The Finance Committee killed this program, and we don't even know the damage yet because when it was being phased out, they quit taking applications. People that were getting the services were tried to transfer to someplace else. We don't know where they went. We don't know what happened to them. The damage is done, and that's on your shoulders. GoFundMe will not work for this because you have to put the person's name up there and say they need help for this. We can't put these vulnerable people out there and say, feel sorry for Uncle Bob because he needs help. This funding has to go on. It can't just be based on one person. Okay, so the committees, you all do your work. You're working on the budget for next year. Over the last few years, millions of dollars have been spent on buildings. Millions of dollars have gone to economic development. I'm getting emotional. I'm trying not to. But here's the thing. In 2000, there were 8.8% of the people living in poverty in this county. Now over 13% are living in poverty. Every school district in this county, if you look at the report cards, is reporting more and more homeless students every year. More and more students are living in poverty in every school district in this county. What is all the money that we've spent done for this county? The population is going down, we're getting older, and we're getting sicker. We're now 62 out of 102 counties based on national data on looking at the health of the communities. When you work on your budget and you think about your mission statement, that sounds really great, the health and welfare of the community, think about what you're spending your money on, and does it have any impact on that? Everything you've been doing so far is taking this county down. If we're going to turn this around, you need to think about that as you work on your budgeting for next year. We don't know what managed care is going to do. Managed care is already here. The county social workers do their assessment, and then the managed care steps in and takes over. They may soon even pay for this service if it's allowed to continue. Anyway, as you work on your budget, I hope you think about the people that are sitting out there that need your help. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Any other comments?
Again, this is pretty disturbing over and over again, and really insulting that you're limiting us to this 3 minutes, but I'll make it brief. Back there in that room last month was a message on the board. Feedback is a gift. I don't know where that came from. I don't know if you got some motivational speaker and you just ignored that as soon as you left it, but I hope that you'll receive my gift from you today. It's in observations that I've had lately, and I'll try to keep it short. One, it's dismaying and incredulous. Mr. Slagle, you brought it up again tonight. Please stop blaming somebody other than the board for making a vote. We can't vote. Only you make votes. Stop blaming other people for those decisions. That's not our problem. Secondly, you continue to fail to recognize that 9,900 people voted for this program. 2 months ago, I was at a board meeting here, and we had some people speak, but at the end, a local dairy farmer complained about some garbage. And I don't know if he ever got any results about his complaint, but there were people who were asking him after the meeting about what he wanted, and boy, he got a lot more respect than any of us have received in the last year that we've been trying to actually get some response from you. 3, the board's been able to hide behind the host agreement with the landfill to fund large projects. I have a suggestion for you. Instead, I believe that the board should use this bonus money for citizen-centered endeavors such as recreation, broadband access, mass transportation, healthcare, and infrastructure. Any large capital projects, if you go to any other community, any large capital projects, you have a tax referendum, you have bonds, you have to pay for it with taxpayer approval. You don't just get to spend your money any way you want to because somebody has a pet project. You have to go through a process and get people involved. The way it's going now, nobody's involved except the 24 people here. Nobody has any input. And when I was on school board and when I was a teacher, and we had problems with funding, and we'd go to our local representatives or state representatives, they all sat back and looked at us and said, "Not my problem. Have a tax referendum. That's your problem. You do it." And what's more basic than school funding? So I think you should trust the citizens. Thank you. You should be able to sell the need of the Law and Justice Center, health building, whatever it is, on the basis of its own merits. If you can't do it, then the people don't want it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lipinski.
Joan Lipinski, I just want to clarify a couple of things. We did not ask, or I did not say that people needed to do anything immediately. We were told in November, in December, and in January by the chairman of this board that the budget was going to be looked at, and the budget would have to be looked at for 2020. We have not seen anybody examining any parts of the budget to see if there are any areas. I know there's money for recreation, which hasn't been spent and is still sitting there. I questioned board members about whether they had looked, with emails and on the phone, whether they had looked into several areas of the budget where we thought there might possibly be something, and nobody had. Nobody answered those questions. I did find out after many emails, there were 8 people that responded saying they felt positively about the program, and that if they could, they would reinstate it. There were 5 people that said absolutely not. There was no way they would reinstate it. There were 3 people that said that they weren't sure. I will accept those things. There were 7 people that didn't bother to answer anything at all, did not return phone messages, did not return anything. I don't know how you can calmly approach a member of the board and try to ask them some questions and find out what else we can do to help. We went to public health meetings because we were told that would be something we should do. We looked into all of the budget areas, and most of them state that the money should be spent for the betterment of whatever else, including and the citizens of the county, not just and the buildings of the county or and the roads of the county or physical presence, also the population. I think that it's very difficult to try to approach this board. We've been doing it. The reason why we put a referendum on the ballot was because we attended meetings for a year before asking if this program could be reserved. And we were told, no, the citizens wouldn't want it. So we just asked, did they want it? 9,900 said they did. And now you don't want to discuss it, and the only way you want to discuss it is if, I asked for 7 months to just have board members discuss this, and finally got this response this evening. I guess I should be happy. But the other thing is, nobody's looked into other areas. You just keep saying it's got to be tax money. Well, it doesn't necessarily. There are places in the budget. The contingency fund would have had enough. Melinda stated you all should have the information, because I've been at 3 meetings where she told you $150,000 would reinstate this program, because she already has part of it taken care of with other budgetary money. Now, if so, you can't find $150,000 or $200,000 somewhere in the budget. I don't know who's been looking. I mean, I look through what I can get, and I'm not very good with that. But I think you need to respond. Thank you.
Thank you, Joni.
Jerry Gordon, rural strong. Of the people, for the people, by the people. That's the cornerstone of our democracy. And it seems like 9,000 votes sets a priority. You want to ignore that. We're not allowed to set priorities. Representatives are supposed to communicate with their constituents. What do you want? What do we need? I heard 2 people tonight give personal objections to this program. That's not your place. You can have a personal opinion, but you represent the people in your district. You're not representing them. 9,000 votes, over 9,000 votes. I had a thrilling moment at a meeting here once. John Slagle, you were discussing building the health center thing, that thing. And John, you said, shouldn't we contact our people and get their opinion? I'm telling you, I had goosebumps all over my body, because here was a board member that was going to do what he's supposed to do. Well, the chairman spoke up, no, you're elected to make those decisions. There was no more discussion. There was no more effort to change that philosophy. And I never got a phone call what my opinion was. So you're not representing. You try, but you don't represent. Your campaigns, when you ran for this position, your campaign said, we want to bring transparency, we want to make decisions, we want to do this, we want to do that. But you get on the board and you convert from an individual to what is referred to as board think. You're afraid to bring issues up, you're afraid to talk about your personal opinions on things because you may offend somebody else, so things don't get done. You become shy. You don't listen except to one person or two people. And then there's no discussion and there's nothing done. That's called puppets.
Thank you.
I'm Dick Haas. Appreciate the opportunity to take a portion of 3 minutes here. I need you folks to think about what you're doing. Communicating with the citizens of Livingston County isn't just a bothersome part of the agenda that the state imposes on you that you can squeeze down to as small a time frame as possible. It's your solemn responsibility as elected officials. You need to think a lot more seriously about that and discuss it a lot more than you have been. I don't want to, you can have the rest of my 3 minutes to do something that you consider more important.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Mr. Slagle?
Well, what I was going to say earlier was during that part of the meeting, it would have been, you know, the finance committee is meeting and talking, every finance meeting now has an item on the agenda for the next year's budget. So it would be nice to have some direction in terms of if there was a majority of the board that did want to reinstate the program through increasing the PTEL through a referendum or finding the money, or, you know, just so that we could, as we're doing the budget, we could sort of go from there. And it seems like we could show hands, or could have at that point. We weren't taking action, we're just directing the finance committee what options to put on the agenda. Or not on the agenda, but which items to consider in the budget, because really the finance committee needs to know their audience that they're gonna be selling the budget to. So I don't know if we could do anything to get account of that, or if it's just not gonna come into the budget, but that's all. Thanks.
Madam Chairman?
Yes. Mark?
I was sitting here debating whether I should say anything or not. I was almost didn't, but I think I have to. The gentleman, not the last one, but the one before, I think his name was Jerry, made a comment about us all running and stating what we were running on. So I would like to challenge him to find one newspaper article, one press clipping, any campaign thing that I, Mark Runyon, did saying that I did what you said I did. I'd like to see it because I don't remember doing it.
Any other comments? Okay, can you speak
I make a
that up?
motion to go into executive session pursuant to ILCS.
Actually, Ron is doing that.
Oh, okay. Second.
Executive session 5 ILCS 120-2 CL pending litigation. Second, Marty Fannin. Roll call, please.
Arbogast.
Yes.
Weller. Ambrose.
Yes.
Harley.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Vidstum.
Yes.
Mays.
Yeah.
Aaron.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Blackard.
Yes.
Wilkie. Curtin.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Vieti.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yep.
Manker.
Yes.
Kestner.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Bannon.
Yes.
And Allen.
Yes.
Okay.